The Premier was in Hamilton to announce the city is one of 3 test areas for a basic income program. Starting this spring, it will provide up to $17,000 per year for individuals or $24,000 per year for couples, with any existing social support being deducted as well as 50% of any income earned. To tell us more about the idea and how Hamilton poverty organizations are reacting, we're joined by John Mills of the Hamilton Roundtable for Poverty Reduction. John, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for being on City Matters. Before you and I get into it with reaction from Hamilton, let's listen right now to the Premier this morning at LiUNA Station.
It's a world of global competition, reduced benefits, more and more part-time employment. They fear that the future will be less fair to those who don't start out wealthy. And I can tell you that is different than when I was growing up. There was much more of a sense of optimism when I was in my early 20s, coming out of high school, when I was in my teens. One income used to be enough for most families. And now, even with 2 people working, it's tough to save, it's tough to feel as though you're getting ahead, and it's tough to feel confident that your job will still be yours or even still be around in 10 years or 5 years or even less.
And so it's a pilot project that's going to run over the next 3 years. Announced for Hamilton, Thunder Bay, and Lindsay, covering the province. John, immediate reaction from Social Planning Research Council and the Poverty Roundtable to this announcement this morning.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
My pleasure.
Obviously, this is really good news. It's something that we have been working on for, well, I personally have been working on it for 4 or 5 years now, and there have been successes. I have yet to see a failure of pilots going on around the world. And I understand that we need a pilot just for our own politicians' safety and also to inform us better how to make this work. I think that it's a step in the right direction, just getting the framework happening. But it doesn't go far enough. As Premier Wynne was saying, you know, it's right now it's a race to the bottom with precarious employment, and it's very difficult for people to actually get established, much less succeed, because of the precarious nature of the economy right now.
Well, we've got the working poor. We just had that conversation with Joanne Santucci. Precarious work has become the buzz phrase, hasn't it, over the last several years?
Certainly has.
You mentioned that this is happening around the world. Finland, Kenya, and the Netherlands have launched or are considering basic income programs. So folks are just tuning in, and they weren't at LiUNA this morning. What is the gist of the basic income? How does it work?
The gist of it is that basically right now, people on social assistance, I'll talk about Ontario Works, they're getting something marginally over $7,000 a year to live on. And a basic income, the way it's designed right now in Ontario, is going to bring that up from $7,000 to just under $17,000, which is still only 75% of the poverty line. But it's certainly a step in the right direction and allows people to actually get out of the constant stress that they are living in now, and maybe give them an opportunity to actually perform up to their level to be able to find constructive work for themselves and their family.
So getting to 75% of the poverty line is a significant step, because when you emphasize $7,000 for Ontario Works to live on, that's why we have 3, 4, 5 people living in 2-bedroom apartments. People are couch surfing throughout the community looking for a place to stay warm, because $7,000 is not a number anyone can live on.
For sure. I know. I just survived Ontario Works myself. I'm on CPP now, thankfully, and I can't tell you the difference it makes to me. I was spending over 50% of my income on Ontario Works on housing, and it makes it very difficult to have a phone, to internet is forget it, and you can't really exist in today's society without internet. I mean, you can't apply for a job without it. So the adequacy is just not there on with the existing system, and it's a tribute to the government to understand that, hey, poverty is something that really has to be tackled in a serious manner, because we've been wasting our time watching people fall by the wayside, mental health issues, physical health issues that are directly related to poverty, and giving them no way out, really. There's a glass ceiling that you can't step over, or you're even worse off. Why would you work for a minimum wage and basically still be living deep in poverty, and you give up health benefits, which you get on Ontario Works and ODSP? It makes it very difficult to even fathom trying to get out of that, because you're still going to be stuck way below what your potential is.
I wish we had started the show with you, because I'd love to hear your journey and what you have seen, what you've just described, especially with the mental health issues. Those folks become the forgotten, don't they?
Well, they do. One of the other hats that I wear, I'm president of Mood Mender Support Services, which is peer support for people with anxiety, depression, PTSD, that kind of thing. And I became very, very informed about the situation. To me, mental health and poverty are two sides of the same coin. If you suffer from mental health issues, you're probably going to end up in poverty. And likewise, if you are living in poverty, the stress of trying to survive in that situation, when you have constant stress, your body changes, your chemical structure changes, your brain can actually physically change. And that definitely happens with people who are living constantly in poverty. Is they stress out, basically, so they end up with mental health issues.
Let me go back to the Premier's announcement, and the province is saying our approach to basic income is a simplified way to deliver income support that provides a floor under which nobody can fall regardless of their circumstances. So a good step today, pilot project. It's not everybody. It'll be about 1,000 people in Hamilton.
In Hamilton,
that
yeah.
will, I guess, be chosen by the agencies who see them the most. I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't know how they're going to work that neither.
I don't know if Joanne Santucci is going to be looking at a list and picking people, or if the folks, we'll have to wait for the details on how this works. But it's a good first step. But more needs to be done, and I know the Poverty Roundtable for years under the leadership of Tom Cooper have been pushing that the minimum wage must be greater. It needs to be a living wage.
Absolutely. Income is only one silo of poverty, as it were. I mean, we've still got enormous housing issues that have to be dealt with.
Yes.
And that's much more of a federal, provincial
And although the $50
cooperation.
million that the city is coming up with over a number of years is still a bit of a drop in the bucket. Again, right direction, but it doesn't cover all the problems.
Exactly. It's exactly that. It's a step. It's a recognition that there is an enormous problem. We better start doing something about it. Health, physical and mental. Those are still issues that yeah, an income is going to help, but it's not going to eliminate it. We still need all of those social safety net aspects in place and even improved on. We still are the only OECD country that doesn't have a pharmacare system. That's something that's unconscionable, that we don't have a pharmacare system. And there's lots still to be done, but as you said, Doug, this is an enormous first step, and we hope that the province learns a great deal as the process unfolds and we start seeing some results from this. And I just hope that the province is very transparent about this and keeps us informed on, what do we see at the ground level right now that's happening, so that the province can get an idea of this is what basic income can do. And yeah, it might cost a little bit, but there are savings in hospital, and I'm sure that we will see less interaction with police. because people aren't going to be forced to steal. They're not going to be forced to burgle their way into some kind of sustainability. I think that
this gives people who really don't like how they're living opportunity. It gives them hope as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is hope, and they're not going to be worried about where their next meal is.
Yes.
You know, they're going to have enough. And it's, again, when you're talking about 75% of poverty, it makes you scratch your head and say, what 25% of adequacy are we saying these people aren't entitled to? You know, it's a human rights issue that should probably have some discussion as well, but
we've got
at least.
I want you to come back.